Gen Z and millennials don't want to work, have a poor work ethic. They're entitled. They have no social skills. All those are lies. This is the battle done. And I want to make this video going out to the millennials, my generation, and those younger than me, Gen Z. As we're going through this economic downturn, I've been taking a look at social media and some of the messaging out there. And I want to come with my own message to counteract some of this stuff I'm seeing out here. So I'm going to organize this discussion from two perspectives: perspective of the world system and a perspective of the kingdom of heaven. So within the world system, remember, this is a system of social and spiritual authority that is characterized by theft, death, and destruction. On the individual level, psychological warfare, what do we have? We have the theft of joy. It's hopelessness that comes about when our world seems to be caving in on us. Doors are closing. Jobs. I'm hearing the young people talk about jobs they applied to, hundreds of jobs, denied. Then when they get a job interview, they have to go through multiple rounds, spending money to go to these places and hours spent discussing certain things only to be denied in the fourth, fifth, sixth round of interviews. There's also a sense of lovelessness towards oneself. You know, being shut down and shut out and tricked and connived time and time again could lead us to think there's something wrong. Maybe there's something wrong with me. What's the point of getting up? What's the point of fighting another day? Went through all this school, this training, and what good is it doing to me, for me? Feel like giving up. Those seeds of suicide come in. Then there's that coincides with the lack of or a growth of faithlessness. You know, our how can I say it? Our conscience is attacked. Helps us to justify, well, was it worth doing things the right way? Got to look out for myself, no matter what it takes, no matter who gets hurt. Then we get into things like organized crime, become more and more appealing, because if it doesn't matter, nobody cares about me, why should I care about them? This is worldview warfare on the individual level that the world system wages against us. How does this warfare look on the collective level? Now we're talking about social engineering. What do we have? We have this downturn. Okay? Every 8 to 12 years, there's a downturn. There's a pattern here. We have an increase in addiction, increase in violence, whether it's violence against property, violence against persons. All of these things increase times of economic downturn. This is well understood. This is a pattern. Also, we have moves that our rulers are making. Some of these moves are to position the country, given this multipolar situation it's unfolding right now. Other things that are taking place are blowback from past decisions that our rulers have made. So we have this immigration. We have people coming for lower wage jobs. We have people coming for high wage jobs. So millennials, Gen Z, we're stuck in the middle. We're having to deal with the outcomes of our rulers' decisions. Some of these decisions have to do with trying to maintain favor with other nations, strategic relationships. So our rulers say, hey, we'll allow a certain amount of people to come in and get these jobs. Others is blowback from past imperial colonial type of decisions that our rulers made. So these countries that people are coming from have been destabilized due to the decisions of our rulers. So they're coming here. It's like the chickens coming home to roost in a way. Then on the spiritual level, when these things are affecting us, affecting our generation, there's a sentiment of, well, God has not helped us. Look at what we're going through. We forget the blessings. We forget God looking out for us. Then there's a sense of rebellion that's cultivated through, okay, well, God has not helped us. That's the past. Well, God will not help us. Future. So why should we do the right thing? What's the point? God's not going to help us. You see that arrogance, or that rebellion, I should say. Now we're leading to the arrogance because if we forget what God has done for us, if we don't think that God will do anything for us, so what's the point of even worshiping this God? God cannot do anything for us because God's powerless. You see, all of this economic, political turmoil, maybe these problems are bigger than God. Maybe God really isn't who he says he is. See, this arrogance that is cultivated within the collective and the individual. This is spiritual warfare ultimately. The outward symptoms, the outward manifestations, that's the economic downturn, the political upheaval, the religious disorder. Those are external symptoms of a spiritual warfare that's taking place. So now let's look at this from the kingdom of heaven perspective. Remember, the kingdom of heaven is the system of social and spiritual authority that's characterized by justice, fairness, and righteousness. So on the individual level, fairness. My fellow millennials and my Gen Zs out there, we got to be fair to ourselves. Okay? Understand that we're not losers because we're not getting these jobs. We're not losers because we don't have a mortgage right now. We're not losers because we're not at a position that we look at our parents or grandparents at this age, the things that they had accomplished. We're not losers, okay? There's a bigger game going on here. Same things that are being said about us, how we're lazy, how we have a poor work ethic, entitled. Those same things baby boomers said about Gen X. Also just, in these type of circumstances, we're victims to these circumstances, okay? So in times of injustice, we can petition, we can demand God to help, to intervene on our behalf. What does this do? What this is doing is this builds our trust in God, okay? Because these difficulties, what do? As we persevere, perseverance, okay, builds character, all right? What does character build? It builds hope. So as we go through these struggles, just as other generations have went through before us, they had their own struggles. They had their own things that they had to overcome. So do we. We have to overcome this. That leads into the collective, okay? Like I said, every 8 to 12 years, there's a downturn in this country where people are climbing up that social ladder from working class to upper middle class. There's a shakeup. Some people are able to hold on, but many people fall down. And when you fall down, you got to start over. Some people, they don't want to fight anymore. They fought so hard to get to where they are, and then they get knocked down by decisions that were not theirs. They didn't mess up. The decisions that our rulers took knocked us down. That's too much for many people. And they can't get back up. They lay down. They take themselves out of the game in different ways. Some go into crime. There's only two outcomes of that: jail, death. Then others take themselves out through addiction and straightforward suicide. That's not the answer. You know, there are things that we can do. When we look at social media and we see all of the negativity, the hopelessness, what do they call it? The black pill, the doom. There are things that we could do still. You know, my generation and Gen Z, we can still get out in the street. We can still protest. We can still make the rulers see, and others in other countries. You know, there was a protest in Kenya recently where the Kenyan young people, they got into the streets to protest the economic situations in their country, while the rulers are engaging in international endeavors trying to boost the profile of Kenya. The young people are saying, hey, we don't need to be looking at someone else's home. We need to fix our own home. The same thing we could do here in the United States. We could get together. We can protest for better treatment under the law, okay, for better policies. Let the world see that, hey, America's engaged in all these things around the world, all these adventures around the world, and look at their young people crying out for help. That's a bad look. That's going to get the rulers' attention. Then on the rulers, okay, while we're on that, do we even really know who our rulers are? Okay, so when we get angry with the rulers for making the decisions that they made, we got to understand and use wisdom that, you know, we can't go out and start plotting against certain individuals, because the person you might be plotting against, they don't even run things. This previous debate should show you that the people that you think are running things, they are not. We don't even know who our rulers are. That's why we need to pray for them, whoever they are, instead of trying to plot against them. And also, the immigrants, for example, that are coming over here legally or illegally, lashing out against them isn't the answer, because, again, they're part of a game, global chess moves that my country, the rulers of our country, are making. Some of it's blowback for terrible decisions that they made in the past, okay? So, again, there are ways in which we can fight against this. We've got to organize and put aside some of the differences that we have, and also not blame ourselves or put ourselves down in such a manner that we can't organize because all we want to do is just get drunk or high and things like that. Taking ourselves out of the game in that way, or say, you know, there's no hope in the political structures. No, we can still use these structures. We can still use them to our benefit. It's not over with yet. All right, so on the spiritual level, okay, if the world system wants to undermine trust in God at that spiritual level, then the kingdom of heaven, what it's going to do is give reasons for trusting in God. You know, in cybersecurity, we have a concept of multi-factor authentication, different ways for a person to prove they are who they say they are. So there are factors such as what you have, what you know, what you are. All right. So let's look at the kingdom of heaven from this perspective. God saying, trust in me, and I'm going to give you reasons to be secure that I am God. One, God knows the spiritual hearts. He knows the spiritual hearts of the righteous, the wicked. He knows the poor. He knows the rich. He knows our spiritual heart. Okay. and he'll deal with us accordingly. God is righteous. He is righteousness. The only way in which we can even have a hope to be perfected spiritually is because God is perfect already right now. It's forever. Okay? There's a level of integrity that he has that he must maintain. Then another factor, God will mete out absolute justice over all creation. The things that people have done to one another, all the way down to the things that people have done to the environment. God's going to make all those things right. So we look forward to that day. You know, that's why we say, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. The whole entire creation will be shaken by God's justice. All right, so I just want to encourage my fellow millennials and Gen Z. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your fellow man. Don't give up on God. This is something that we're going through. Again, things will get better again, and we can prepare for the next downturn. So for right now, keep the faith. These difficulties that we're going through, persevere. That's going to build up our patience, and patience propels us, allows us to maintain the course so that when other things come in the future, we can battle, we can endure those things because we have a character. It's built our character, and that hope that comes from that. These are things that stay with us throughout our lives. So, especially for my younger Gen Zs that haven't been through something like this before, just understand this is the way it is in the world system, and particularly in the United States of America. Every 8 to 12 years, this happens. Okay? So don't you give up on yourself. Don't you take yourself out. Don't you go crash out. All right? End up hurting somebody else and then throwing your life away because of the frustrations that you're feeling right now. Understand, this is a part of a game. It's a cold game, but nevertheless, this is what our rulers choose to do. So pray for them. Pray that we have some righteous rulers, okay, that make good decisions for us. And get engaged locally. Get out there and meet some of the people in your age group that's going through the same things. Encourage one another. It's the battle done. Peace.